Alright, so welcome back to a new one on this channel, and on this occasion is the Tube Modulator. Now, this plugin is great. Maybe you're watching this and say, oh, right, it's a tremolo, univibe, so it's for guitar players or guitars. Well, it can be, but this is a fantastic tool to add that, extra something to pretty much everything. It works great on vocals, synths, everywhere when you want to add a little bit of, something extra. And I think it's great because you don't have a lot of plugins like this in market. Tremolo type of vibe with a univibe, and then Leslie, and all on the same plugin. All right, so let me show you how this works. Now, this has pretty much two faces, two sides. You have the left side and the right side. Now, the left side is going to be in charge of the univibe and the tremolo, and the right side is going to be in charge of moving it from left to right. So, okay, so first, let's see what it does right here on the left side. So you have the amount, how much you want from the right side. I'm going to go all the way down on the right side. Now, you have a mix control. You can go all the way wet. Right now, I'm going to go all the way down to nothing. And if I play a track, I have a mono acoustic guitar, right? It's a pretty simple track. Now, if I go all the way up, this is what we get. So the main controls are the rate and the amount. How much you want of this effect is going to be the amount. Going all the way down, you have nothing. And then you have the rate. Now you can sync it to whatever tempo you're using, your DAW, or you just can unsync and use hertz. Now also you can go up in the in and then just go down in the out. So you could just, crush it a little bit more. All right. So right now I'm going all the way wet. And I'm using it like, you would use a tremolo pedal. You don't have a blend control on a tremolo. Usually you don't have it nowadays. A lot of pedals, they have a mix control, a blend control. But usually you don't get it. You just turn it on and, that's it. I'm going to go down to Tube Tremolo, and this is where the magic starts to happen with this plugin. You have different types of, tremolo and, emulations. Now, the Tube Tremolo is an emulation of the early 50s, 60s amp tube tremolo. Of course, it's just maybe too aggressive. And then, on top of this, in the right side, you have, the modulation. Usually when you're using a tremolo effect, it's kind of a pedal, in this case, it's or amp. It's locked to a type of modulation, which is a sine or a cosine. Now, it depends on the pedal or the amp, the tremolo, depends on what it's using. But here, you can choose different waveforms. So the modulation is going to be way different. If I use a triangle, and you have the most common waveforms right here. And you can use it to add a little bit of movement, tremolo-wise, or to use it more creatively, like I'm using right now. Now, also, you have other types of waveforms, and they're just going to be a little bit more random. Alright, so I'm going to go to the default one, because usually when you're working with a classic tremolo, it's going to be on a sine or cosine. Alright, so this is one side of the plugin, the tremolo, right? It's going to go up and down, and it's just volume. It goes up and down in volume. Then in a minute, we're going to be checking, the other types of modulations, but now I just want to cover the other side, which is going to be where the other, part of the magic starts to happen. Because sometimes I use this to add a little bit of extra something. Right now, it's going all the way up and down, just moving up. But if I do a little bit of blend, what it does, it adds a little bit of movement. But it's still mono, still dead center. If I go to the right side, what we have, it's a panner, right? It's going to move things from left to right. How it's going to do it? Well, it works the same way than on the left side, on the amplitude side. And right here, notice it says position, and right here it says amplitude. So by default, you have the panner and the same controls you have right here. The rate is how fast. If you do sync, it's going to be syncing, to whatever DAW, whatever tempo you have in your DAW, and the amount how aggressive is going to be. And right here is going to show you how it's going to be moving. By default, the panner is the cleanest one. The other ones are just more emulations of something else. As I go up, of course, it's going to go to the left and the right a little bit more, aggressively. How it's going to go? Well, you have the waveform You know what? Let me just use a different guitar. All right, I'm all the way up in the mix, and I'm doing this on purpose. This is not the way I use this, so we can hear the effect. So yeah, it's gonna go from left to right, and then up and down because we are using tremolo at the same time. If I remove this, the amplitude, we can use it as a panner and get rid of, the tremolo effect and still, add some width. Now remember that you do have the mix control, so you can go down and add some movement to whatever track or whatever track you're trying to process. So remember, you do have different waveforms. Now I'm gonna go down on the amplitude so we can, get rid of the tremolo. And then you have 3 different modes right here. The panner is the cleanest one. Now the lastly is gonna give you that, lastly type of vibe, so it sounds a little bit different. Now the other one is whoa and flutter, so this will introduce, detuning, pitch detuning. Now I'm going really aggressively right here, so maybe we can dial it back and just, get a little bit of movement. It's not super wide now. Still, again, we can go down and blend and get something cool. If I turn it off, it's just losing that extra something. And if on top we add a little bit of tremolo, it just sounds really different. If I turn it off, so we have less movement. And this is the main plan, the main idea with this plugin. Just add the movement. That's something else. And this is why I think this plugin is really cool. It's a very unique plugin. You don't have a lot of plugins in the market where you can do tremolo, different emulations of, of tremolos and panning at the same time. Now, then we have the other one, and for now I'm just gonna go all the way down on this one and up on this one so we can hear the effect, and I'm gonna turn it on, of course. And go all the way up on the mix, so we can hear what it's doing. So this one is a classic type of tremolo. Maybe it's too aggressive. So the harmonic tremolo, notice it sounds very different. And it's because it's a different process. Now, the harmonic tremolo first appeared back in the day after the first, tremolos that we had in the amps, which is the tube tremolo. So it's a different process. That's why it sounds different. So it's just different tremolos from different eras. That's what it is. Now, then you have the vibrato, which is going to be pitch modulation. If I play it, you can really hear it. If we turn it off, we still get that tremolo-ish, but now we get pitch modulation. Now, then we have the chorus vibe. Now, the chorus vibe is a variation of the vibrato, so it's a combination of pitch modulation and a chorusing effect. But we can really hear that it's just more chorused. Now, we don't have to go to 100%, even though it sounds really cool. I can go down, just blend it. That is how the tone changes. If I turn it off, just pretty, not so interesting. Just a little bit more interesting. So again, then you have the classic tremolo, then you have the vibrato and the variation with the vibrato, and then you start having all the other ones. So the harmonic vibe is a variation of the chorus vibe, but using the harmonic instead of just a normal tremolo. And again, we get more movement. We get something else, right? So it sounds really different. I'm gonna go all the way wet. Right, so really different. Now then we go to the last ones, and these ones are again emulations of the Univibe. The classic, Univibe. If you're a guitar player, I'm pretty sure you know about this. So the first one, which is the 68 Vibe, is a classic emulation of the Univibe on the vibrato side. The vibrato button when that button is on. So if I play it again, so this one is the vibrato on. Now on the Univibe you have a vibrato and you have a chorus button. So if you press the chorus on the vibrato pedal, we get this. Now, we don't have to go really fast. We can really go slow and get something else. If we add something, a little bit of movement, the sound goes, it's wide and has more, personality. I turn it off. Alright, so that's pretty much the whole plugin. You have different styles. Then you can just use the tremolo or the Univibe. If you want to add a little bit of, wideness and just movement, then you can move it on the left and on the right side. Okay, so this works great on some other sources, not just on the guitars. So I'm gonna turn it off and I'm gonna start on an init plugin. And as you can notice, you have a lot of different combinations and just presets. So okay, so let's just play the vocals.
I'ma be alright.
So notice that the vocals are dead center. Alright, so I'm gonna turn this on. And remember, we are on an init patch.
I'm done thinking that you are the one, cause all of these emotions got me
just modifying signal.
Undone. What do you want from me? What do you want from me, huh? Why can't you let me be?
So we can add just a little bit. So again, add a little bit of movement.
But I'ma be alright. You only call me when you want me, but you never even said you're
What happens
sorry.
if we try something else, like a 60s Univibe?
I'm done thinking that you are the one, cause all of these emotions got me coming.
It's a little bit too much, right? I can go down in the mix
What do you want
and
from
do just a little bit.
What do you
You're
want
still
from me?
mono on the vocals, but we do have something else now.
Me be? Why can't you let me be, huh? But I'ma be alright. You only call me when you want me, but you never even said you're sorry. I'm done thinking that you are the one, cause all of these emotions got me coming undone. What do you want from me?
Alright, so that's pretty much it. Now, notice how much we are using. We are using 7% of, of the blend. And it's giving us, what we want. If I go aggressively, we get more. And I've seen a lot of, some YouTube videos where they just showcase this plugin. And they sometimes go really aggressively on this plugin. This is not the way I like to use this. I like to use just a little bit to add an extra something and then, do more processing if needed.
Undone.
But if you want to go really aggressively, you can.
What do you
gonna give you
from me, huh?
what you want.
Me be?
And on top of that, if you need a tremolo, you can just use the tremolo. And if you need to use a panner, you just can use the panner, right? The only thing you need to do is just go down on the amount. Starting from an init patch, I'm going to be playing it right now. It's off. You do have oversampling right here. I'm going to enable it. If I play the synths, just a pad sound. That's all. So right now it's off. I'm going to turn it on. Wider. Right? Just bigger, wider. Now remember that you can go down on the out just to control it a little bit better. The mix is 31 all the way up. Maybe not what we want, just a little bit. Maybe a Univibe. I felt love a Univibe. If I turn it off, less movement, more movement. And all of this, of course, depends on what you want to do. If I go to whoa and flutter, and more, it's maybe too aggressive, right? I'm gonna go less. Off. Smaller. Just wider. Alright. Okay, so that's it. You do have a lot of presets. For example, Tooth Tremolo. If you want to go to that one, it's going to be the brown face note. This is the amp. But you do have a lot of presets. And if I have to give you my opinion about this plugin, I've been using it for a while, and you don't have a lot of plugins like this. And I grew up playing guitar. I've been playing guitar for like, I don't know, 30 years, maybe 25 years or maybe more. And I love 50s, 60s music, so I really love tremolos. And this plugin here gives you that, and you don't have a lot of plugins like that. Unless you go to, Amplitude, and you go through the amp and the emulation of the tremolo and everything else. And even, the Univibe, you don't have a lot of Univibe's emulations out there. So yeah, honestly, this is one of my, top favorite plugins, just to add that extra something. Okay, so hopefully you understand how this plugin works and what it does. And remember, if you liked all of this, to like and subscribe. And if you have the money and you just want to buy me a coffee just to say thanks, you can go to the links at the description, and you have links for PayPal, Patreon, and YouTube. Thanks. You even get the QR on the screen if you want to scan it. All right, so thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.